Hello everyone, welcome to Flicks and Shows. Today we are going to have a quick recap on the first 5 episodes of Lucifer's sixth and final season on Netflix, which premiered on September 10th. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. So without wasting any more time, let's dig in. Episode 1. Nothing ever changes around here. A truth seeker Chloe and a wonder seeker Lucifer go on a date to the world's only private wizarding club to spend their last night on Earth. Lucifer's got cold feet about taking over as god, but after pushing his coronation a few times, he's now declaring it his last night in LA. But first, reminder alert. Although seasons in the past started with Mr. Set Out Bitch, our favorite criminal has happily settled in heaven after facing his guilt. The series therefore offers us a new, unrepentant sinner, Officer Dix. Remember the motorcycle policeman that Lucifer bribed in the pilot? Turns out, Dix has been happily dancing to hell with his bad demeanor ever since. Head to the Magician's Club to attend the final performance of Magna the Magnificent. His act is cut short when his protege dies performing a trick, and in no time Dan's friend Carol from season 5 finale shows up to investigate along with Ella in tow. Naturally, she's delighted to meet the couple after 6 weeks. Chloe isn't about to sit idly by and watch an investigation unfold, so she begins her own side investigations, frustrating Carol endlessly. Ella, meanwhile, unknowingly twists the knife on Lucifer's side, confiding she has prayed a lot, but it feels like no one is listening, forcing Lucifer to struggle with the idea that God must always be there for everyone, always. When it is revealed that the real murderer is Magner's son, the case also brings out Lucifer's fear of intervening for dear old daddy. You are not worthy of your father's legacy, he bellowed after Chloe manipulated the villain into confessing his crimes. For a moment, it looks like Chloe might be the murderer's next victim, but she still clings to the necklace of Amenadiel, giving her superhuman strength. After Magna's son is arrested, Lucifer wonders how he can continue to love Chloe after being forced to care about the rest of humanity. What better place to get clarity than the special purgatory he created for Dan? The poor guy has been stuck for 1,000 years in a dimly lit version of his enclosure, playing ping pong with the demon Belios, who is a truly terrible partner. Dan begs Lucifer to become God and take him to heaven, but Lucifer refuses on the grounds that it would destroy free will if he acted against Dan's subconscious wishes, where he clearly still harbors a guilt that prevents him from accessing the paradise. After Lucifer's departure for Earth, thunder and lightning shake the enclosure, and we spot a pair of female legs on the throne of hell. Episode 2. Buckets of Baggage. Thank Dad that Lucifer stayed long enough to leave Mr. Morningstar duo at a drag club. This episode is over-identified as Lucifer explains how to care about the 7 billion humans who are not Chloe, and Ella deals with her well-deserved trust issues. We open up on the wreckage of Lucifer's apartment after he and the superpowered Chloe had a blast all night. Good for the lovebirds. Then Amenadiel arrives to berate Lucifer for not taking the throne, and Chloe argues that he just needs a little more time. Amenadiel points out that they just waged a war to put him on the throne, which sends Lucifer to Dr. Linda. Typically, he misinterprets her advice, and this sends him on a quest to help a random human in order to prepare to take care of the rest of the pack. The human he chooses is Carol, who flirted with Ella during the 1992 Super Cop movie starring Michelle Yeoh and Jackie Chan. Struck by Lucifer's mojo desire, Carol confesses that he wants someone he can spend the rest of his life with. Lucifer is horrified to learn that he has been sexless for 15 months and swears to help him. Understandably, that involves proposing all the suspects in his episode's murder investigation, despite Carol's pleading that he is not. When Carol describes his perfect partner, A big hug, wearing cute t-shirts, Lucifer sees what's going on and makes him the bad boy of Ella's dreams. Unfortunately, the leather jacket and sunglasses makeover is going like a hell of a ball with Ella, who sees this as proof of Carol's cheating, and well, she's already had trust issues after dating a serial killer last season. So she and Chloe slip up Carol's personal files and finds out that he was an undercover vice cop for 2 years before going dark for a year. Then she and Lucifer break into his home and find a bottle of scotch in a locked safe with a note that says, "One day at a time." There is a secret uncovered anyway. But hey, let's talk about the murder of the episode. The victim is Fred, also known as drag queen Fiona Fierce, and suspicion soon falls on his protege Brian, aka Busty Bazungas. Halfway across the pickup, Brian and Busty delivers a knockout speech about the pressure on drag queens to get it all figured out like a divine figure. And although Brian or Busty shares with self-esteem, they say queens like them know that in order to change the world, they have to realize that they are sufficient. While following a lead, Carol is confronted with the killer, the victim's boyfriend, the drag club manager, who mistakenly believed he was being cheated on due to his own trust issues. Lucifer and Ella arrive in time for Lucifer to remind the killer, but really, Ella, that just because someone hurt you doesn't mean someone new will do the same. Then Carol tells him Super Cop, and they take the villain down the Yo and Shan way. Afterwards, Ella admits that she stole Carol's file and broke into his house. He in turn confides that he went to rehab during his dark year. With that out of the way, they go on a special date to see Super Cop. And then when Ella shoots a quick prayer of thanks to the sky, a frog falls from the sky. There are also things going on in hell. The mysterious legs on the throne belonging to a razor-winged angel, who learns that Dan almost succeeded in killing Lucifer. She makes a deal. He shares what he knows and she will bring him back to Earth. After first, Dan refuses, but when the angel points out that Lucifer could have made this trip at any point in time, Dan is ready to deal. In the last shot, Chloe and Lucifer snuggle up in their cozy bed and agree to take their time figuring out how to turn Lucifer into God. Episode 3, Yabba Dabba Do Me. Who is ready for the Lucifer cartoon? I certainly wasn't. As part of his plan to become God, the devil decides to help someone he hates. Jimmy Barnes, the first murderer he ever caught. Sadly, Barnes passed away after losing his mind when Lucifer revealed his devilish face to him in the pilot. Lucifer and Chloe leave to hell, the latter holding Amenadiel's necklace. Chloe describes Lucifer's towering throne as lonely. She's not wrong. And then they walk through a door in Jimmy's hollow. They're instantly transformed into cartoon versions of themselves, with a wacky soundtrack and the sweetness of Ken and Barbie in their pants. Oh, and the exit disappears, taking Lucifer's powers with it. So they're stuck in Jimmy's broken loop. It's time to take care of the cartoon Jimmy, who relives his wedding day, facing an exaggerated devil Lucifer. After engaging in a cartoonish brawl, Chloe suggests that Lucifer fix Jimmy's brains to get them out. Lucifer knows hell and takes Jimmy further in his loop, which turns out to be an 80s city, hilariously cliche. We have breakdancers, aerobic fanatics, and the first band Jimmy ever led. The group fires him, and Lucifer, whose powers are back, hits Jimmy with his mojo. The Desire, the return of Jimmy's mother, who ditched him in a cheap motel to pursue her own musical dreams. Jimmy's only company were the cartoons on motel television. Lucifer is moved by Jimmy's pain, and while this is no excuse for his adult behavior, he takes pity on the child and stops the hell loop so Jimmy can stay with his mother for the sake of it. Eternity. And presto, here is an important step in becoming God. If Lucifer can care about Jimmy, maybe he is ready to help the rest of humanity. But before leaving hell, Chloe asks to see Dan, and that's when Lucifer realizes he is gone. Yes, Dan is back on Earth as a ghost. with the razor-winged angel. Fortunately, Dan had no intention of betraying Lucifer. Still, he is unable to warn him before the razor angel stumbles upon Lucifer when he enters the penthouse. Then she shocks us all by announcing who she is to Lucifer. His daughter! Episode 4. Pin the tail on the baddie. Lucifer, a dad, inconceivable. But seriously, Lucifer tells the Eraser Angel that he could never have had a child, and then he's annoyed when Ghost Dan helpfully points out that Amenadiel was successful in procreating. The angel finally takes a breath. I never asked to be born, and flies off. Once they're alone, Dan doesn't respond well to the news that Lucifer left him in purgatory on purpose, nor that his lingering guilt still prevents him from entering heaven. It gets worse when Dan realizes that he can't interact with any of the people he loves due to his ghostly character. Frustratingly, Lucifer decides to keep Chloe in the dark about his potential daughter and embarks on a solo investigation. His only time on Earth in the 90s was an orgy in Miami, so Mace, who was also there of course, helps him find potential baby mamas. Of his 36 partners, 4 gave birth 9 months later. The first 3 are easy no's, letting Lucifer breathe easy. Thank you, I'm not the father. All the women agree that he is not the type to hang around. Offended, he declares that he is about to be the best dad in the world for 7 million people. One of the women is impatient for the second round and drops her dress just as Chloe arrives to see what Lucifer is doing. She is unhappy that he kept her in the dark, and they agree to find the last woman together. She turns out to be a Bostonian who became a rabbi following her transformative encounter with Lucifer. Additionally, she has a daughter, Mira, who ran away 5 years ago to resolve her paternity issue. Chloe is already struggling with jealousy, and it gets worse when Lucifer hints that his daughter is also an angel and that Dan is back on Earth. Their investigations lead them to a commune of avocado trees where they find young runaways held in captivity, enraged on behalf of women. Lucifer inflicts punishment on their captors while a super Chloe fights alongside him. After the wicked are brought to justice, Lucifer tells one of the runaways to say a little prayer if she needs help in the future. Ultimately, he tracks down Mira's real father, but Mira is just a human girl, not the Razor Angel. He encourages Mira to reach out to her mother. Then Mira's father puts him on the path to the truth. He knew Mira was his daughter the moment he looked her in the eyes. Flashback to Lucifer looking at the Razor Angel and experiencing a similar feeling in his bones. Too bad she's still in the wind. Back in LA, Dan struggles to communicate. First, he visits Mace, who is in the middle of trying on clothes. She doesn't hear him, so he yells, "Everybody knows LA is way too hot for leather," going out the door. And it turns out that Mace could actually see Dan. She just wanted to play with him, of course. He is also able to speak to Amenadiel, and then they make amends for the fights that they just had before his death. But then he visits Chloe and sees her confronting Trixie, who is mourning his death, and he begs Lucifer to take him back to hell so he doesn't have to watch his family cry. Lucifer informs him darkly that because Dan is incorporeal, Lucifer could not bring him back even if he wanted to. Oh, and that's not the last surprise of the episode. The Razor Angel shows up at Chloe's apartment and rushes over to give her a hug, calling her Mom. Episode 5. The Murder of Lucifer Morningstar. Meet Rory, everyone. Short for Aurora, the name Chloe meant to give her second daughter if she had one. She is the angel daughter of Chloe and Lucifer, who travels in time, here to punish her father for being an absentee all her life. Chloe and Lucifer both melt a bit at the news that they have a daughter, but that's about the last of the good feelings in this episode. Rory says she was going through something major in the future, and when Lucifer didn't even show up then, her rage made her come true in the past. In addition, She announces Lucifer will disappear from an intersection in Van Nuys in 3 weeks. The future Chloe always refused to tell her why he left, and Rory lived with this rage all her life. Lucifer insists he would never have given up on his child and jumps to the conclusion that someone must have murdered him with Asriel's blade. He plans to bring the blade back to heaven to keep it safe, though Amanadiel's necklace will be deactivated once he's there. However, he doesn't think what it would mean for Chloe to lose her super strength. Thinking quickly, Lucifer suggests that they solve his future murder so they leave for Van Nuys. A dentist's office sits at the fateful intersection, and as the couple head into the investigation, they accidentally trick the receptionist into announcing that he's sleeping with the dental hygienist. Unfortunately, he is married to the dentist, who kicks him out, having lost his marriage, his job, his house, his dog, and his friends in 60 seconds. He swears to kill Lucifer. Say what? Rory, meanwhile, walks down the stairs to Lux, where she mocks Maze and Amanadiel by pretending not to recognize them. But she is only teasing, having learned the torture techniques from Anne Maze herself. Yet, she's not about to give up on what will happen to anyone in the future. Guys, it's time travel 101. As Eve swoons over what a good mother Maze will be, Amanadiel realizes that he hasn't sensed Rory's presence and begins to worry. He had just assured Ella, who is convinced she sees signs of the apocalypse, that he would know if things were wrong. He apologizes to Ella for dismissing her concerns, but she sees it as an overreaction, until Amanadiel leaves and she unlocks an investigation board where she has started gathering the clues. Lucifer is the devil, Amanadiel is an angel, etc. To the walls of madness. It's pretty basic, although her theories on Dan the Frog and the missing socks are pretty funny. Back on the future murder, Lucifer suggests getting him out of the country for the next 3 weeks, but Chloe insists on sticking around to solve the case, which is pretty perfect snapshot of their partnership. This brings the dental receptionist back to the penthouse to make amends, but all he wants is his wife's return. An impatient Lucifer decides to give Asriel's blade to the man to put an end to the attempted murder, but the blade is missing. Lucifer accuses Rory of stealing, which means it's time for a family therapy session on Dr. Linda's couch. Hilariously, Rory announces that the only Linda Martin she knows is a convicted felon. Even though she's joking, I hope so. The session ends with Chloe blaming herself and Rory, and Lucifer showing the same stubborn streak before Rory runs away. Back at the penthouse, Chloe admits that it was she who hid the blade. Lucifer finally gets a clue and realizes that Chloe doesn't want to give up her super strength, so much so that she has allowed him to think that their daughter might be her murderer. He reaches out to take the blade from her, but Chloe defends herself. It turns into an all-out brawl, which ends with Chloe riding on Lucifer, the blade to his chest. Luckily, she throws it off and Lucifer gently tells her that every human who touches it ends in Stabby Town. Chloe admits that she lost control before touching the blade, as she ended up crying in her lover's arms. It's Maze who gives the right advice, telling Lucifer that he can't fix Rory's past, but he can ask how he can help her now. Finally, before the blade leaves Earth, Lucifer brings Dan to see Chloe. While they can still interact, they recall their past, and Chloe says she feels helpless since he's left. Dan tells her that she doesn't need Amanadiel's necklace to be strong. With that, her powers slip away, and although she can no longer see or hear him, she thanks him for giving her what she needed. By completing the 5th episode, we have struck the halfway point since the season consisted of 10 episodes. Do let us know in the comments if you would like us to continue with the next 5 episodes, or if there is any other TV show or movie that you would like us to summarize. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It would be really great if you do that. That's all. Take care.